I would like to call upon Ms. Shalini from Pallium India to do the honors.
Good evening, everyone. I would just like to read the CV for Dr. Rajagopal, and then you can decide. There is a full page, 4 pages that I'm kind of omitting. So Dr. Rajagopal is the director of Trivandrum Institute of Palliative Sciences, which is a WHO collaborating center at Trivandrum, and he's also a founder chairman of our NGO called Pallium India. This has been running for the last 20 years, taking care of all the palliative care needs of people of Trivandrum. We have a lot of home care services, we have research, we have inpatient as well as outpatient, and rehabilitation section also, where all the people who require assistance, they come and get back to their regular life. So this all has been initiated by Sir. His initiative to remove regulatory barriers in availability of oral morphine, which is very important for pain management, relief, contributed to the simplification of narcotics regulation and amendment of NDPS Act of India in 2015. He has been spearheading the movement of getting morphine, which is particularly a medicine for pain relief, for across India hospitals and medical institutes. The international organization Human Rights Watch honored him with Alison Day Forsey Award at Los Angeles in November 2014. In 2017, there was a documentary movie called Hippocratic, where he was following rules of Gandhiji's. There was a whole 18 experiments movie made on him. It's called Hippocratic. Hippocratic is the oath that doctors take when they take up a role of a doctor. This has been created by Moonshine Agency. He was named one of the 30 most influential leaders in hospice and palliative medicine by American Academy of Hospice and Palliative Medicine in 2017. And we always joke with him, at last India recognized the work you have done. So in 2018, he was honored with Padma Shri by our highest civilian order award by India. And his recently he published his memoirs, all his experiences with his patients in a book called Walk with the Weary. We will show you that book in a while. But for all of us at Pallium India, he's more of an alchemist. If any of you have read Paulo Coelho's Alchemist, he just puts all the broken souls, physical, socially or emotionally, and put them to good use. So he takes away all the pain from everybody that comes to Pallium India. So I hope he's able to, I'm sure he's going to make it. He's going to take away the pain of whichever way you're feeling right now away. Thank you, sir. Please welcome Dr. Raj.
Thank you, Shalini. Dinagar, Shri Devi, thank you for this thank you for creating this dream home. Gives people like me hope for the future. Vanakkam, everybody, and Manipur. I'm sorry I cannot speak in Tamil. I am your neighbor. I come from Trivandrum, very close to Tamil Nadu, but I am rather ashamed to admit that though I can understand Tamil mostly, having watched a lot of movies, but I cannot speak. Sir, if I do try to speak, maybe the audience will not forgive me, so Manipur. I will try to be brief because most people many may not be able to follow me. This morning, I was in a big hospital here, and I was asking the audience, including mostly doctors and nurses and social workers, to the elderly people, in your retired life, and especially when you are nearing the end of life, what would be the most important things in your life? They thought for a minute. One doctor said, independence. Sri Devi Dinagar, sister, please remember, that at that time, when I am with you, maybe you are 3 times a day checking of temperature, pulse and respiration may not be very important for me anymore. You are used to doing it all your life. But there are times when that becomes insignificant. Please remember what that doctor in the hospital said this morning, independence. But I also know that I may not be able to be independent. But my appeal to you is to give me as much control over my life as possible. Everything is not possible. I may not be able to walk. You may have a regular prayer at 7 p.m. I don't know. Maybe you have. At which time everybody is herded to the room, one room, common prayer room, where prayer happens. Or there may be other things like that. There may be yoga. Please don't force me if I don't want to participate in it. Give me the opportunity. A little loving persuasion is fine. But allow me to have as much control over my life at that time as possible. You would want to turn me from one side to the other if I cannot move myself every 2 hours. But before you do that, at least tell me, Tata, I am going to turn you to the other side. At least that much. And what am I saying? Essentially, I hope, Sridevi, I hope this home will be a home of dignity and a home of love. The medical aspects are important, doctor, certainly. I'm not saying that I'm not discounting the value of medicine, but I'm also saying that there's a point of time when dignity and love become more important. But on that matter of love, again this morning, except for that one doctor who said independence, everybody else said the most important thing is family. But I also know, as you said, I think I understood you correctly, that may not be feasible anymore in the modern days. In the generation that we grew up in as children, that was taken for granted. You are with a joint family, but we changed the world, not the children now. We changed the world for them. We broadened the world. We encouraged our children to study well and to fly away and be independent. And that's today's world. So, that one doctor said independence, there will be limits to this. The other person said families, that will be limited too. What can we do? Can you be that family member? Can you be that family member? Please be. My wife is here. My 2 children are in 2 different places. They may come over for some time, they may not. May not be able to. They are very loving children. But they may not be able to. That's the way life is. What happened during the 2 years of COVID? These are not things that can be taken for granted. But then I hope you will be my family members, giving me care with love. And what that involves, this morning, you all know Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, right? Dr. Swaminathan's very respected, well-known doctor who headed our Indian Council of Medical Research at one time, then was chief scientist at World Health Organization. She sent out a tweet message this morning. Her tweet is about communicating with people who have memory loss. Memory loss, Sridevi. You came to Trivandrum recently, gave me some lovely sweets. And when I came in here, I asked her, who are you? Sridevi must have wanted to pick up that flower pot and hit me over the head, but she kept smiling. Thank you. Thank you for retaining that smile and forgiving me. This will happen to many of us. It is not necessarily Alzheimer's. Even without Alzheimer's, gradually memory fades. We will remember all the unnecessary things from our childhood, but will not remember Sridevi's face. These things happen. So, sister and your team, please forgive us for our memory. Please try to understand and help us to remember. So, what Dr. Soumyanathan tweeted, I will share with you and then I will stop. Soumya says, never argue, instead agree. I don't want to eat now. No, this is dinner time, you must eat. Don't. If I don't want to eat at that point of time, don't. If you are not very busy, sit beside me. And then I will start speaking and I may be angry. After all that you are doing for me, I may still be angry with you. Emotions will be very labile. Never argue. Instead, agree. Agree with whatever you can agree with. Give me another opportunity to eat later. Never reason. Giving reasons is not of use. I cannot process the thoughts. Instead, divert my attention. If I am concentrating on something and being irritable, divert my attention. Never shame. Body shaming or shaming for behavior, shaming for my forgetfulness, laughing at me. It may be fun. You may not mean to hurt me, but I may feel hurt. Instead of shaming me, distract me. If I wear a shirt, most likely the buttons and the holes will not align. You know this happens. It already is happening to me, sir. And then you could laugh at me, or you have the opportunity to come quietly and help me to put it properly. Or even if you do, I don't. It doesn't matter much. You know that. Never lecture. Bhashan. What is the Tamil word for lecture? A long lecture. Lecture. That puri. Don't give me lectures. I cannot follow. Instead, oh, I've forgotten what Soumya said. Instead, reassure. We will be with you. That is helpful, but giving me a bhashan doesn't help. Never say remember. Can't you remember? Try to remember. That's hurtful. I can't process things. Why are you asking me to do the impossible? Instead, Dr. Soumya Swaminathan says, reminisce. Don't you remember Sridevi coming there with sweets? Instead say, Sridevi came with her sweets. You enjoyed those sweets. They were so nice. Sridevi came with her husband, Dinagar, and with so and so and so and so. Just explain. Don't try to force the person to remember. And sister, never say, I told you so. I told you not to do that. I told you not to draw that plate towards yourself. Instead, repeat the instance, the advice with patience. And never say, you can't. You can't do that. Instead say, you can do. What you can do? You can't wash that plate by yourself. Instead you can say, please hand me the plate. I will happily wash it for you. Never demand, do this. Instead ask, request. never condescend. With all your intelligence and youth, you may be tempted to think of me as an inferior human being. I am not inferior. I am not saying that I am in superior. I am saying I am not inferior to another human being because I have this memory loss. Never condescend. Try to remember that you can be in the same position at some point of time. Encourage the person to do what he can independently, as much of independence as possible. And Dr. Soumya's final point, never force, reinforce. Never force the person to do something that he doesn't or she doesn't want to. Instead, reinforce that person's ability, maybe giving a support, helping the person to do this. I found it very useful. Thank you, Dr. Soumya Swaminathan. I suppose she is in Chennai at this point of time. Thank you for the opportunity to be being with you. மன்னிச்சிடுங்க தமிழில் பேச முடியாது எனக்கு. It will be a joke and you will, in spite of all this, you will laugh at me. So I am not trying to do that. Thank you for that naming that room. Oh, what a huge honor, first time in my life. Thank you very much. And I hope, and thank you for creating this home for people like me, for elders. And today, such homes are of great value because the society is growing global and elders are bound to be left alone. Thank you for doing all that, and particularly to the nurses, not undervaluing the role of doctor by any means, but at that time, most of us, round the clock, will be cared for by the nurses. That's the plain truth. I will highlight the point that every staff member will be important. Starting with the person who waits at the gate, with the housekeeping staff. It's very important that everybody learns the rules of treating people with respect and dignity. All your kindness and compassion will be of no value if the person gets insulted by somebody else. Everybody, but particularly the nurses. So, Dinagar and Sridevi, with your permission, because I admire nurses so much, because I have seen patients initially cursing God, then saying, no, there must be a God, that's why He sent her to me. Because of that, with your permission, can I hand this very lovely bouquet that you have given me to your Chief of Nursing, not only for you, sister, but for all nurses here. Would you like to repeat your names to the whole team?
I have handled many old age people. So I know how to handle the people, and now we have many patients, and really I am happy to work with them. I am treating them like my own father and like that. So it's really, I am very pleasure to work in our group, ELCA group, NNRC and ELCA group. Thank you so much for giving opportunity to work with them.
Their names also.
He's Sujan, he's a junior nurse. He's Pranav, and Sister Kanchana, she's taking daycare, day duty. And she's Gayatri, she'll be going to the other hospital, I mean NNRC, but now she's practicing here. Thank you so much.
You don't mind, do you? Thank you very much. I declare the new ward open. Thank you.